Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bella Talks TV. This is Amanda Bella, and we're going to get right into it this week. As you guys know, I'm just returning from another wonderful trip with my husband. If you have been here for a little while, I'm sure you're catching on to the fact that we travel a lot. We are a childless family. And I always like to make sure I tell people that, because sometimes people people love to draw their own conclusions, right? Even though I try to share everything with you guys and be very transparent about who I am and what I do and just everything about me, people will still always draw their own conclusions or try to kind of come up with their own narratives on things. And I just always like to remind people, I don't know if you can have it all, but I haven't figured out how to have it all yet. And so I'm focusing on the things that I do have. And I just turned 37. So as you guys know, a couple of weeks ago was my birthday. And I don't know what, that just made me think of Caroline Brooks. Caroline Brooks yesterday was just online talking about how it was her 36th birthday. And I don't know if you guys know Kendrick Tucker, but Kendrick is hilarious. One of my favorite people to listen to podcast, and his opinions are just always saying exactly what I'm thinking. So actually, while I'm sitting here, let me make sure I give you his correct handle, because I do not want to give you the wrong information. Okay, so his handle is with Kendrick Tucker, and go follow him now. He has podcasts, but he is really great at just all of his digital content. And I was messaging with him back and forth a little bit yesterday, talking about how Caroline Brooks, I was like, oh, it's my 36th birthday, blah, blah, blah. And him and I are both like, how are we older than Caroline Brooks? Another example of a housewife that is younger than me, and I just can't handle it. I need financial compensation from Bravo, because I did not expect to start watching this program when I was 19 years old and now be 37. And now I'm older than some of the housewives. This is not what I signed up for, Andy. So with Kendrick Tucker, make sure you're following him. I'm trying to think, do you have any other random odds and ends before we get into my countdown this week? Okay, yes. One thing is that I was on Ryan Bailey, So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey, his Patreon. This is only the third podcast now that I have guest hosted on. So I'm still getting my beak wet. I'm still learning how, a lot of this goes and how this industry works. And he was amazing. We had so many laughs, great times. If you guys don't follow him or don't follow his Patreon, it's worth every dollar. He's one of the most hardworking people I've ever known in this podcasting industry. As you guys know, I struggle to get one episode out a week. He's doing them every day. I don't know how. One thing I know that we talked about is that he talks about a lot too, is that he's a little bit more of a night owl. And I find that a lot with the creative people, they use the nighttime to be a time of, where they can be undistracted, or they can just have more of that solitude time to work on their creative endeavors. I'm a morning person. I'm recording this at 10 o'clock in the morning. I have to get up and do things in the morning. At night, once I watch my programs, once I watch my shows at night, there's no way I'm sitting down and doing work after. I mean, I did do that, Bella. If you guys haven't checked out I released my first Patreon episode, which was a random Vanderpump ramble, just about any words related to Vanderpump that came to mind, in my opinions. I released that on my main feed of this podcast as well last week. So make sure you check that out if you're a Vanderpump fan, or if you don't know anything about Vanderpump and you're trying to maybe brush up. And I mean, at this point, if you guys have never watched Vanderpump Rules, I wouldn't say not to start now, but you've missed a lot. You're going to have to start from square one. So listen to my little synopsis podcast. Another thing Ryan Bailey is doing is he's actually recapping Vanderpump Rules from season 1 on his Patreon too. So Bad It's Good. Go check out his Patreon and listen to that episode that we did. We talked about Jersey. We talked about Gypsy. We talked about all kinds of things, honestly. We went on quite a few rants. Sorry, as you guys know, too, Candy's always here with me. She's currently looking out the window because it sounds like, it's a FedEx truck. Yes, New York things. So yeah, we are here another day just recording in New York. Like I said, I just got back from Vegas, and I actually will be leaving for Costa Rica in a few days. So we have another trip coming up. I'm going to try to get another bonus episode out for you guys before I leave, and a few things to leave you with. And I'm just still nailing down the consistency of this show. Like, we're all over the place. We're never really in one state all month. And it's, at least I have my wireless mic, my iPad. Like, I've been able to downsize my equipment so that when I'm traveling, it's easier for me to bring all this stuff with me so that I don't have to miss a week with you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much just what's been going on with me. What other things have been going on in the universe? So before I start my countdown, I want to just briefly touch on It Ends With Us drama. I know this is not TV related. I mean, technically I could tie it back to Gossip Girl because that is where we found Blake Lively. That is where we learned about this creature. And, I was always neutral on Blake because I was a Gossip Girly. I was obsessed with that show, watched it every single week on the CW. I loved it. I was more of a Blair. I was a Blair and Chuck fan. I wasn't so much into the other side of things with Dan and Serena, but I still appreciated Blake for who she was. Again, I'm all about ensemble casts. That's what a show makes. You can't just have one character. I mean, that would be a one-man show. Those do exist, but we need to have these ensemble people. So Blake as a person, really never had anything against her. Like I said, I was kind of neutral to her. I will say, as a fashion girly too, the Met looks and stuff through the years she's served, I'm sure if you went back on my Instagram, you would find some post somewhere that I did in favor of Blake, and her looks. But overall, it's not like I've been some huge Blake stan. Now, are her and Ryan Reynolds an extremely attractive, likable couple? Absolutely. I would say they're like America's couple, but they're not American. I think they're both Canadian. So, that's that. But when it comes to Blake, I've just uncovered a lot this week that I've not been feeling well about. And I think it sits, again, I always talk about what impassions us to fight for certain people, to take certain sides, these internal biases that we have that are inside of us because of the way we were raised, where we were raised, all kinds of different, nature versus nurture factors. And I'm not really sure, there's just experiences in life that mold you and cause you to take certain sides, because you've maybe dealt with them yourself, and because of how your situation turned out, you might, have some weariness again. And when it comes to domestic violence, it is just something that is very close and near and dear to my heart. And I just don't fuck around with that. I don't think, any violence is ever the answer for anything. I think I would maybe think differently had I not been through certain situations in my own life. But unfortunately, when it comes to the It Ends With Us stuff, I'm having some issues because I did not read these books. And I see this Colleen Hoover, everywhere. And every time one of these books comes out, every girl online is posting her at the beach, at the park, whatever, with one of these books. And I just always assumed, okay, it's probably a nice, easy read for most reading levels. And it's a popular book. For lack of a better word, it's kind of it's kind of for basic girls. And I'm seeing all this stuff with the Ends With Us stuff, and it's definitely making me uncomfy because it is clear to me. No, I didn't read the books, and I can't claim to know every little plot line, but I've definitely done 40 hours worth of research online about this now. And what I've basically come up with is that the book It Ends With Us is one of the books by Colleen Hoover. She ends up writing a sequel called It Starts With Us. And the premise of this book, spoiler alert, is that the main character, Blake Lively, plays a character named Lily Bloom. She owns a flower shop, and she's apparently in a disturbing marriage that involves a lot of domestic violence. And in the book, there were quite a few disturbing scenes that were depicted. And now when it came time to making this film, the director, his name is Justin Baldoni, and the reason why he directed this film is because this book was just a book at one time. He read this book and was so inspired by the story and wanted to raise domestic violence awareness. So he wanted to get this book made. And in talking with Colleen Hoover, the author, and getting the rights to this book and having it be made, one of the things that you have to do is you basically sell the rights. So then you own the creative control. So once Colleen decided to have this book be made into a movie, she no longer has a say in the casting. And if they decide to rewrite any of the scripts, like that all goes out the window. So that's why it's important in trying to determine how much of a fault this is Colleen's or not. Now, Justin comes in, he starts directing the movie, and he explains that he also, even as a director, doesn't really have any say in the casting. Or maybe he has some say, but he doesn't have the final word. Like the studio gets to decide who to cast. Now, Colleen asks Justin personally to play Ryle, who is Blake's husband, the abuser in the movie. Colleen's like, you feel so passionate about this book. You want to have it made. You want to direct it. Why don't you also act the main character and, do both? So Justin takes on this challenge. Blake comes on as Lily, and they begin to shoot this movie. And as they begin to shoot, there starts to be problems with, allegedly Blake on set with Ryan a lot, Ryan wanting to have a lot of say, them wanting to do a lot of rewriting of the scenes and changing the script a lot, changing some, details of the characters, etc. And that's fine. That's all allowed to happen. But there's just a certain etiquette, I think, that you go across with this. And it seems like her and Blake are just very intimidating, and they ended up investing money in the film also to gain some extra creative control. So it seems like it just, from word on the street, is that, Blake and Ryan were being pretty aggressive on set. They're really trying to take control of a lot of this narrative, and they want to get Blake nominated for an Oscar with this. I think they see the potential of the story of this abused woman. And, not to spoil it for you guys, but again, you shouldn't be listening to this if you don't want spoilers. In the second book, she, leaves the abusive husband, and then she ends up moving on with this new guy who's also in the first movie, Atlas. So he, that's a big part of it too. So it's really this arc story about this woman being in an abusive relationship, but being able to get out of it. So it is in the end a positive story. But what they're not doing is explaining this. They're not talking about this on the red carpet. They're not explaining any parts of this plot to the world. They're just talking about Deadpool. They're talking about Blake's hair care line. They're talking about all of these other irrelevant things, just basically keeping all eyes on Blake, only talking about Blake, like making Blake the center of all of this. We're not talking about domestic violence. We're not talking about awareness. We're not talking about why she wanted to play this role and why she felt so connected to it. We're just hearing about all of this other random stuff. She's, distracting, basically, in my opinion, from the real point of why this movie was made and making it all about herself. And I'm just not having it, you guys. Like, it's really turning me off. It's really making me upset that this was a real opportunity to raise awareness about such a thing that happens to so many. I don't want to even just say women anymore. Like, we know domestic violence, child abuse, any type of violence in the home is unacceptable. And the fact that we finally had a platform to talk about this, and we're talking about Betty Buzz non-alcoholic mixers made by Blake, I'm unwell. So I just wanted to get that out on the top of this show. Again, it wasn't really TV related, but it's been something that's really been weighing on me. And I hope that if you're a supporter of these books, supporter of Blake, you're one of these people that's out here kind of like, only seeing one side of history here, that I'm not saying you have to abandon her and cancel her and like do all of this rigmarole. I just think that you need to be aware of some of these things that are going on, and just be careful with the type of media you're consuming and with the type of heroes you're picking. She's obviously very close with Taylor Swift, and I think a lot of the Swiftie mentality of supporting some of these women despite their flaws and some of their problematic behaviors, it's not working for me. So just wanted to call that out, and I hope that you guys will also do your own research. The thing that really took me over the line was that Colleen Hoover, the author of the book, wanted to have a coloring book made, and it ends with us coloring book. Okay, no. She came out and apologized later, but like, what are these people thinking? Like, I would give my left leg right now to sit down and get an interview with Blake and ask her these questions. Like, girl, this is your moment. If you wanted to be nominated for an Oscar, like, wouldn't you be talking even more about how hard it was for you to play this role, how intense it was, how it messed with your own psyche, how it made you think of all the women that have been through this before you, like doing justice? And come on, I'm giving you lots of talking points here. So, okay, let's get on to a fun and amazing countdown and episode that I have for you guys this week. And I'm going to take a quick break first before we get started. Hey, and we're back. So Candy and I are back. She's still here looking out the window. What a precious little angel. I love that she's my little co-host, and I hope that you guys are enjoying some of the Candy content. She's my bestie. So, okay, let's get into my LOL and my OMG of the week. I have a couple good ones here. So the structure of this episode might be a little bit different because normally what I try to do is, even though it's a top 5 countdown, I try to kind of like separate all the different subjects, and that way I'm only talking about like Real Houses of Orange County one time. And if it's like a moment from that episode and it's my number 5 countdown, like you won't hear me talk about OC again usually, because it's like I'm moving on different subjects. I hope this is making sense. But this episode's a little bit different because I've been trying to think about really the premise of this show, and it's the top 5 moments of the week, not necessarily the top 5 shows of the week. And so I want to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty and breaking up some of these particular moments of the week that we've been talking about. And I hope that makes sense. So just so you know, like going forward, this is just where my mind goes and why I'm thinking about these things in this way. But okay, let's start with my LOL of the week. So I had a good one this week. I had a good laugh. I had a good chuckle to myself because we've been seeing rumors since Pride, actually, that Lisa Vanderpump may or may not be rebranding TomTom into Pump and bringing Pump back to life, bringing Pump back from the dead. And we know that apparently this was just a rumor. Lisa kind of came out. A lot of people were asking because what happened on Pride, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, is on Pride, as we know, Lisa's a big Pride celebrator and ambassador. So back in the day, Pump, I guess, used to be the place to be on Pride. Like WeHo, Pump, we're there. And we know Sir also had their party. And then when TomTom came around, they also started doing Pride there. And now, unfortunately, in this time, we've had Villa Blanca close and Pump close officially. And they decided to take Pump, and instead of having it just be a figment of the past, they've now brought it back to life as the patio of TomTom. So we have TomTom, the restaurant, and then the garden next door was a spot that Lisa built out and also made into a patio, and they've now turned that into Pump. Now, I'm like dying to go to these places, by the way. If anybody wants to go to LA and like do a little trip and go to all these places with me, like I'm so dying to go there. But I've never been there. I have no idea what this is like and how legit this could be. But it sounds like this is what's going on now. And when it was on Pride, Lisa had put these like rainbow draperies like outside, and they draped it over the TomTom sign. So you could only see the Pump sign. Well, you could actually still see the TomTom sign like behind the drapery, which was awful and awkward for everybody. Everyone's like, wait, did TomTom close? So they have Pride there. This becomes in the past. Now that Pump sign has still been up on the actual building. Now, remember when Lisa closed Pump and she took that Pump sign and put it on she just like had it affixed to the entrance. It was like on like, they have those like cast iron, like that entranceway outside. So she had the Pump sign like stuck to that. And then when Tom Sandoval went to go in that day, remember, this was filmed. He was like, wait, is this Pump now? And she was like laughing it off and being like, no, darling, this is still TomTom. I still had to just keep a little of the Pump spirit alive. Oh my God. I don't know why I'm trying to do impressions over here now. Like, is this what every podcaster starts to do? I'm going to start doing full recaps with impressions over here. I'm kidding. Don't worry, guys. I'm kidding. So Lisa now has, apparently there are rumors swirling that TomTom is going to be done. They will be officially just renaming it Pump and making it into Pump. And I had a good chuckle about this. I really was like, this would be a really good storyline for season 12, right? We're going to season 12, Vanderpump Rules. This would be a really good way to start. I would love to see Tom and Tom melt down from this. Tom Schwartz is actually here in New York. He's in the Hamptons right now. Yesterday, Kyle Cooke, they were battling DJ sets yesterday out in the Hamptons. Kyle Cooke was playing a day party in Montauk. that Danielle was at, by the way, you guys. So I've been following Danielle still online. She was in Europe, in and out, coming, and she's also been like kind of around the Hamptons, but obviously not filming and not going to any of the spots that they were filming. But I see that she was in London. She just got back and she was filming this weekend at Kyle's DJ set. So it makes me wonder if this season's not doing that good, or maybe there's not enough drama. And they were like, we need messy Danielle back, because we know this girl will always bring us something to talk about. I wasn't ready for Danielle to go. So I would like to see her back on my screen. And I'm hoping that she did film and get into a little bit of mess this weekend. At the same time, Kyle was DJing. James Kennedy was flying in to DJ a night party after Kyle was done. So I wonder if there was any filming there, because since Tom Schwartz was in the Hamptons also, I'm pretty sure he was with James, and then, James and Kyle are friends. Like, I'm sensing there will be some kind of a crossover there. Not sure, who knows? James is a real DJ. James is truly like Pauly D now. So it's really crazy. I actually had a follower the other day, which is so nice now to try to kind of like get into the mix like this. I had a follower the other day that saw Pauly D and Nikki together in Vegas. They're still together, you guys. In Jersey Shore, crazy. I really wonder. I mean, it's been years now since Double Shot at Love. Like, I have to wonder if they will ever be together, if they will ever get married or not, if Pauly will ever get married. So, okay, so yeah, that's pretty much my LOL of the week. TomTom, Pump, dueling DJ sets between Kyle and James Kennedy in the Hamptons this weekend. Danielle might be back. There's a lot of laughs going on, all kind of surrounding Tom Schwartz for some reason, and Tom Sandoval. We haven't heard much from him lately, you guys. Maybe because he deleted his social media, everything that went on with him suing Ariana and then not suing her and not understanding what was going on. That was crazy. So we'll see what happens with that. Moving on to my OMG of the week. So, I mean, this is truly the moment that had everybody talking. For me, this was like, like breaking news. Like, I have been glued to my screen time is at an all-time high, put it that way. I cannot get enough of what's going on with the end of the finale, or just the end of the end for New Jersey and everything that's happening. It's like the Jersey apocalypse. But my OMG of the week has got to be this podcast interview that has been released with Teresa, between him and Louie, turning the tables in that creepy garage podcast studio, where apparently that's just all Louie's able to do, is just say creepy things, because we're back here again in the studio. Remember last time we were there, he was doing these weird devotionals that he didn't plan and had no idea what to say, and it was just off the cuff. This man probably wrote and had that plan for months. So that's how he moves. The true OMG moment of the week was the podcast moment when Louie actually suggests that the Giudice girls, the daughters, that they start wearing thongs and that they start going out and showing more leg. And I mean, yes, we know what the intention of this is. Like, we know he's trying to say, like, the girls are young, like, they need to, like, loosen up a little. I mean, no, even as I'm saying this, like, I'm actually trying to defend Louis somehow right now. Like, I'm actually trying to be like, okay, I knew what he was trying to say. No, there's no excuse for this. This is disgusting. I don't know what it's like to have a stepfather, but I cannot imagine. I know myself, you guys. I can be like a little bit of like a Karen. It's okay. It's okay to admit that. And I don't really let people get away with shit like that. So it just would not be happening. Would not be happening with my mom. But I just would be dying to know what Gia is thinking. Like, does anyone have a pulse on this girl? Does anyone know if behind the scenes has she ever had one conversation with a friend, with Christian, her boyfriend that also works for Louie? Even to Melania, have they ever sat down? Gabriella, and been like, okay, you guys, like, we love mom, but like, we've got to keep an eye on this. Has there ever been any semblance of acknowledgement, of awareness of this man not being good for Teresa? Has it ever in any way, or has everybody truly been silenced? Like, I need to know. I need to know if it's just a really good united front, but behind the scenes, everybody's freaking the fuck out, or if they're living in a love bubble, because it makes a difference to me. It does. it makes a difference if I'm concerned for them or if I don't waste my empathy, because I am right now upset. I'm not happy about this. I don't want to see this stuff. This doesn't make me happy. This doesn't make me like, I'm not schadenfreude, right? Like I'm not reveling in other people's pain and like finding joy in the hurt. I am finding joy in the exposure and the awareness because, again, as like a truth seeker myself, I want to see people living in the reality of life. So that makes me happy. That makes me feel like we're not living in a simulation, that our consequences do have actions, and that things aren't just on some like, we're not living in some other dimension here. Like we're all on Earth, right? Remember when at the Jersey finale, which we will get to, Jen says to Melissa, like, or Melissa actually says it to Jen, like, just want to make sure we're all like on Earth here still. Like, do we see any realness happening? So that was truly my OMG of the week. Louie making the suggestion, this podcast leak. I mean, I think the other thing that really came out this week that I was hesitant to talk about because I do believe that things can be doctored, but actually I've heard that this is like the truth. I've heard that this is a real document that has been leaked, allegedly. And it was the letter that Louie wrote to his ex-fiance, and to get into the warrior. Remember the video with the men all huddled on the beach when Louie was doing that creepy video? He had to do, apparently you have to write like some kind of admissions letter, and he had to basically admit all of his faults and the reasons why he wanted to come there. And it's dark, you guys. It goes on everything from being a self-admitted pathological liar, manipulator, to admitting that he gets joy out of getting everybody around him to see things his way. And just I'm not going to touch on any of the mental health diagnosis because he gives himself many personality disorders that he seems very confident that he has. You guys can probably find the letter online if you're curious, but it's not good. It's not good. And this man needs help, and Teresa needs saving. And unfortunately, I think Joe was probably the one. Her brother was probably the only person that was maybe going to be able to get in there, drive a wedge. And maybe if he would have really forced Teresa, I don't know if Joe could have made a difference. I mean, I understand at the end of the day, what really happened with Joe and Teresa was these pizza ovens. This is like what made Joe not want to give Louie any more chances, because it got litigious between them. And unfortunately, if that never would have happened, if they never would have tried to go into business together, maybe it would have always just stayed bad blood, like normal brother, sister, brother-in-law fights where there's no lawyers. But again, we know with Louie, like they can't help to always escalate it to this point of lawyers, PIs, everything. So it's not good. So yeah, my OMG is Louie. My jaw's on the floor watching him make these decisions every day that he's making. I'm really concerned that Gia and Christian are also, we know that isolating is part of this, and that he's getting everybody like entangled so that nobody can leave. And it's not looking good for everybody. I'm nervous that, I don't even want to say it. I'm nervous. Okay, so those are my LOL and my OMG moments of the week. Yee! We've been through a lot this week, you guys. Already. We're already 33 minutes in, and I haven't even started my top 5. So let's take another quick break and then we'll start our countdown. Okay, welcome back. So let's start with my number 5 countdown of the week. And my number 5 most talked about moment is something that happened very recently, just happened as early as last night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which was when Gypsy Rose officially announced the gender of her baby, which is a baby girl. So another synchronicity with her and Lindsay. They're both having baby girls. If they have these babies on the same day, that is my Barbenheimer. That's like an eclipse. I don't understand. I don't even know. Like, how mad would Lindsay be if Gypsy's baby's born like 2 hours before hers and gets like all the press and like nobody, it does, and she gets like the people exclusive, and like and Lindsay gets overlooked. So anyways, Gypsy has now revealed that she's having a baby girl with Ken Urker. And I was online all weekend, you guys. I watched a 5-part YouTube series by a creator called Becca Scoops, who says that she is a retired ICU psychiatric nurse and who partners with a retired or possibly active, I would have to go back and look, private investigator or detective. And they have been reopening Gypsy's case and going into a lot of the missed things and exposing a lot of the problems in the fact that she basically is out and that she was involved allegedly a lot more than she's putting on. The story that we have been told is that Gypsy allegedly did not do any of the schmurdering. She was, in a different room. Her boyfriend, Nicholas, did everything. And that was that. So that's what we've been told. And let's just say Becca Scoops has a different story. I learned so much. Like, I have watched every little piece of media that has been made about Gypsy, and I learned so much more in this Becca Scoops 5-part documentary. So I really recommend you guys do that. I'm going to link it in the episode description so that you can go watch it. I mean, I'm warning you, it is monotone. It is, it's not an exciting watch. It's really just an informational watch. So don't be looking for like Joey King to come out and be playing Gypsy anywhere. So I learned so much, and that was left out of all of these other documentaries, left out of the prison confessions, left out of the Mommy, Dad, and Dearest. Like, I learned a lot. So I'm looking at Gypsy a little bit differently these days, and I'm not going to like spoil these things. Like, if you really want to know, DM me and I'll tell you all the dirt. But just know that I've got like a totally different perspective on her right now. And the fact that she's about to be a mom is truly blowing my mind. And there's a lot of rumors online too. Like, I'm not a TikTok user, you guys, but I'm starting to get into it. So I don't know, maybe I will start being a little TikTok girly. But I have been on there just to get Gypsy content. My For You page is just nothing but Gypsy stuff. And I'm really learning that supposedly behind the scenes, which I would totally believe, that Christy, who I like to refer to as Krusty, her stepmom, who's Rod, Gypsy's dad's wife, we all know who Krusty is, that apparently word about town is that she does not want Gypsy to have custody of this baby, that she's concerned about Gypsy's mental well-being, that she believes that she's a sociopath, allegedly, and, that she does not want this baby to be basically in the custody of Gypsy. And so that supposedly there is some kind of like behind the scenes case going on, that they're going to have CPS like involved with this, and that there may be an exchange of custody. We are not sure. Again, these are all rumors and just alleged, but I find it all very interesting. Again, after watching this documentary over the weekend, I'm feeling more than ever passionately that I just don't think Gypsy's ready to become a mom. But who am I to make that judgment, I suppose? I'm scared. And I've been loving too on TikTok, like all of the Ryan lives too. Like, I sit and I watch all of Ryan's lives. I need Pixie updates and their dog all the time. And Ryan's starting to date again, and he's starting to get back out there. And like, it's so good to see that he has totally, like, he's not under this Gypsy spell anymore, because she does brainwash and she does use a lot of tactics to manipulate these men. So it's really good to see him like getting out of it, because, as we know, Nicholas, I believe allegedly too, since, still to this day is in love with Gypsy, wants to be with her, and he's obviously in prison for life. One big thing I will tell you guys that I didn't know before about Gypsy, I'll give you one little tease, and if not, you're going to have to go watch the documentary, is Gypsy had another guy. So I didn't know this. I apparently missed this like the first time I watched some of these documentaries. So I knew that the first time she went to the Comic-Con, that in the time that she was in the Star Wars costume and she went to go have sex with one of the guys that she met at this Comic-Con that she was like doing this meetup with. He was an older guy. And I don't know why, but I thought that was Nicholas, but that is who she met up with at the movie theater. And she also, remember, took Nicholas's virginity in the movie theater, at the Cinderella movie. So I think I got my wires crossed here, and I did not really truly understand who this person was that she was caught. Like DV caught her at Comic-Con in a hotel room with an older guy. So this is something that happened. And at the time, Gypsy, they were telling her, they told this guy that Gypsy was 15. She was actually 19 and was pretending to be 15. So he thought that he would like raped this underage girl. So there's a lot of trigger warnings in this episode. Like I'm gonna have to put a big thing on the beginning of this. I'm talking about all kinds of crazy stuff today. But so he thought that he, you know, had statutory raped this young 15-year-old girl. It was actually Gypsy was 19, and DV caught them. And anyways, long story short, Dan did go to jail. But there was a time that he had got into a fight and was in the hospital and told Gypsy, and Gypsy ran away from home to go and be with Dan. And that was like the first time she ever left the house without her wheelchair. And like everybody was looking for her. And this was a long time ago. This was way before Nicholas, who was the guy that actually murdered DV. You know, this was her first original boyfriend. Like I didn't realize this Dan guy was like such a big part of all of this. And it really shows like, what ends up going on is that another thing I didn't realize is that Gypsy actually had shot or tried to shoot DV with a BB gun 10 times. So, and this was over Dan, the original boyfriend. So what this really does is just show us that this whole idea that the only reason she had her mom unalived is because she was being medically, you know, with the Munchausen by proxy. But that wasn't it. Like she was having her killed or unalived because she was in between her and the boyfriends. And as we know, that is not a motive to keep you out of prison. So, whoo, there's a lot more dirt than that too, you guys. There's so much more stuff that I didn't realize with this case. I'm going to be just following Gypsy for life. And the last thing I will say about this is that I talked about this on my coffee talk on my Instagram. There's rumors that she's going to name this baby girl Aurora, and I'm not happy about that. That is my niece's name. My little brother had a baby girl last September, so her first birthday is September 7th, coming up soon. Her name is Aurora. We like to call her Rory. She's a perfect angel, and now every time I think about Aurora, I'm going to be thinking about Gypsy. So, story of my life. This is why I do this. So anyways, number 5, most talked about moment of the week, Gypsy's baby girl. Moving on to number 4, we've got to get into this cameo about Jax and everything that's going on with the mess in him and Brittany. So I think you guys know in the past, I have to correct myself too. I don't want to say that I'm like a Jax stan, but I am a Jax fan. And there is a difference because I don't support, when you're standing somebody, you don't support everything. You support everything they do. Nothing that they do is wrong. They're your number one in your eyes. You do anything for them. And as we know it, that comes from the original Eminem song Stan, about how the fan like loved him so much that he also unalived himself because he couldn't, you know, get in contact with his favorite celebrity. This whole episode is very crazy celebrity coded. But so Jax and Brittany had this big fight over the week that Jax has been releasing cameos and apparently telling people, or maybe just one person, maybe several, we don't know, allegedly, that he has been donating his cameo money to cancer research. And Brittany found out this information somehow and totally posted a screenshot, was like, this is a total lie. This guy is not doing this, and exposed him. And then Kristen reposted it and everybody was talking about it. And as we know, Jax right now is in a facility or maybe in or outpatient treatment for his mental health. So this is kind of a big deal that Brittany's going in on him like this right now. They are still married. Like, I don't know if they are legally separated. I don't know if they're just, I mean, up until this point, I never believed they were actually not together. I thought this was completely still until yesterday or whenever I found out this news. I thought that they were together. This was all for the show, that they had masterminded this entire storyline, and that Lori K. PR was paying for the house that Brittany was probably living in so that they could keep this thing going. But now that this came out and that Brittany has been forced to remove the post along with Kristen, I mean, at this point, everybody screenshotted it. There's something deeper going on here now. And now I'm dialed in. Now I'm ready. We know they're filming. I'm ready for season 2. It sounds like it's going to be dark and juicy. I was just talking about how Bravo got really dark there, for a while, and now they're trimming a lot of it with getting rid of Kenya. I would go as far as to even go back to Beverly Hills and talk about how they got rid of Crystal. There's just some of these dark figures to me that are just so negative, and every season ends up becoming about these really intense topics when it's like, okay, we're literally just housewives. Like, let's go back. Like, I'm just a girl. Like, I'm just a housewife. Not everything has to be this like huge, social reform. So I just had a problem with some of these ladies. It looks like they're cutting out. I mean, we know that they obviously rebooted all of RHONJ because of how problematic Ramona was. And a lot of people online are still talking about, like, where is season 2 of Crappy Lake? But that was basically confirmed by Jeff Lewis that said they couldn't do a season 2 because Sonia is too incapacitated. So unfortunately, Sonia is, again, one of these figures of Bravo that we love that is a little bit dark-sided, and we know that needs definitely help. She could probably use to be in the same facility as Jax. I saw a really funny thing that I don't know if you guys know who Joey Zazig is. I learned about him through Jeff Lewis Live too. As you guys know, I used to be quite a Jeff fan. He's really made me upset in the recent months. I haven't been listening to his show at all. So, but I really like a lot of the characters that he has on his show. One being Joey Zazig. And I'll also, it's JoeWzauzig, and go follow him. He's a trip. And he went to a detox wellness resort with Shannon Bedore. And they posted some funny videos together. Shannon had this messy bun. I posted it to my Instagram where like all the pieces in the back were falling out, and she just kind of looked like she was a mess. Oh, Shanny Banani. So funny. Actually, that's a perfect segue into my number 3 most talked about moment of the week. I didn't even realize I was doing that. But let's move in over to the OC, because my number 3 most talked about moment of the week is the moment Tamra finally just comes out and says it. Shannon is an alcoholic. And, Tamra's getting so much flack online for this. And you guys know I'm a Tammy Sue fan, so I'm not going to stand over here and say that every decision she makes is good, that she handled this with like the best finesse. No, she handled it horribly. But it is a tough love approach. I think that Tamra is living in the comment section, but we also know that that is literally her job because of 2 T's in a pod. She's now, she loves podcasting, which I kind of really respect about Tamra. I love that she has this outside random creative draw to be potting. She just started another podcast about reality TV gaming with Dan from Traders. So they just started a podcast together called Talking a Big Game. I believe it's on iHeart. So I think that you guys should check that out. But, Tamra is getting a lot of heat online. Everyone's like, if you're a real friend, you do this on the side. You don't do this in front of everybody at a dinner party. 100% agree. Couldn't agree with that statement more. Not the time, not the place, Tammy. But what Tamra's really trying to do, I think, is she's determined not to, like, somebody called them the Trace enablers, and that stuck with her. Like, she was like, oh, hell, no, I am not enabling somebody to be driving her house into a car. Or she's like, oh no, I am not going to be enabling somebody to drive their car into a house with their dog in it. Like, can't be me, Tammy said. So I understand the point of why she's being so tough. I think she's trying to show not only everybody in the friend group, but everybody in America, like, I'm not standing by what she's done. And until she gets help and shows like real remorse and a real positive want to change, then I'm not going to like drink the Kool-Aid, because guys have to remember, like, Tamra is the closest with Shannon. And Shannon is a drunk dialer, and much like we've heard about with Karen Huger and some of these other housewives, very similar stories between Shannon and Karen. Karen also got drunk and had a DUI right around the same time as Shannon. So, they both seem to do this. They both seem to have, they're maybe very lonely and home drunk a lot, and they call their friends and vent and say a lot of things that need to be then kept in a vault, and like how you can never bring them up again, and you can never acknowledge that this person's struggling in any way because they present a totally different facade on camera. And there's just a lot of there's a lot of inauthenticity going on. And that's what Tamra's trying to break here. She wants she wants this to be an authentic story being told, not just like, okay, I went through this and I learned my lesson and look how great I'm doing now. And no one needs to worry about me. I'm doing just fine. And Tamra's like, I call bullshit. I'm your real friend. I know how much you struggle. I know how much you cry at night, and I'm not going to pretend with you anymore. So the main thing here that people need to separate, again, which is always the biggest debate, is that, is Tamra being a good friend? No. But Tamra's being a good housewife, and these women are playing a different game. This is not how you would treat your normal friend in real life. This would be what you would call a bad friend. But this is a different world, and we need to have these conversations on camera. We need to have these huge confrontational moments, and we need to see these things being really discussed and played out on these shows, because otherwise we end up with just a bunch of fighting online behind the scenes and nothing getting worked out on the show. And we need these things to be more like less Twitter fights, more fights on the show. So that's just my opinion. A little bit of what's going on with this dinner, which I thought this was like a classic Housewives dinner. I was eating it up. I was watching it live on the flight. I was actually coming back from Vegas watching. On the way there, I watched the Real Housewives of New Jersey finale live on my JetBlue flight, which was great. I was loving it. I was on the edge of my seat like the whole time. It was the perfect, like I had a little glass of wine watching my Jersey Housewives finale. Oh, so just perfect moment. The girl who was sitting next to me on the flight was also watching. It was just like great. So on the way home though was Jersey Thursday night. So Thursday night, I'm coming back, I'm watching OC. And I'm loving this dinner party. It's kind of like dinner party from hell vibes. And so Gina puts on this dinner, and it's kind of to get everybody, similar to Jersey, to get everybody together, get everybody on the same page. You know, we want everybody to heal. Alexis is coming, Shannon is coming, Vicky is coming. You know, there's all these problems with Tamra and the Tres Amigas. We've had fights between Heather and Katie already. Like, there's already been a lot of drama. This is like episode 4. So we're getting all the ladies together at this dinner party. You know, Tamra's had 3 espresso martinis. She's already popping off. They bring up, of course, Alexis goes in about the facelift and the money that was loaned to Shannon to have this facelift. And then unfortunately, when they broke up, apparently, you know, it was a gift. But the thing is that Shannon knows it's going to cost more money to fight in court. But that's the point. They are trying to get Shannon to fight it so that she will waste her money and like waste her energy and be unhappy, which is really sad. So there's just a war. There's a war going on between Shannon and Alexis over Johnny J, over this facelift money. And it's all coming to the fact that Alexis wants to marry John. And until Shannon basically stops saying anything bad about him and defaming him, then they're going to keep going to court. So I think Shannon just needs to never speak about John ever again. And then Alexis has no fuel to go off of. And then she just fizzles out. That would be my advice. But we know Shannon can't do that. I'm loving having Vicky back on my screen. I know a lot of people are like, ew, she's the worst. But I actually love Vicky and what she brings. I think she's so just herself. And when she's at this fight and she's telling everybody at this dinner, you know, we don't do this. We are women of God. We are Christian women. And, you know, it's just, I love when Vicky goes into that mode. I do. It just is. It's exactly what my mom is like. So I think it's just very motherly to me. And she just wants the girls to pray together and hopefully have a come to Jesus. So yeah, that was really my number 3 most talked about moment of the week. The alcoholic is out on the table. The elephant is out on the table. And they've got everybody now talking like whether or not Shannon should actually be getting help, or if she should be there just filming and having drinks. So we'll see how that continues to unfold. Loving OC. My number 2 most talked about moment of the week is something so random that I did not see coming and something that I feared for many years. And it is the return of STASSI to our screen. So big news hit our radio waves this week when we found out that STASSI has been now offered 2 returning roles to television, both on Hulu. She will first be returning as a guest on season 2 of Vanderpump Villa, which Vanderpump Villa season 1 was a big old flop to me. So I didn't enjoy it even in the least bit. Struggled through every single episode. Eventually finished it and felt nothing and totally forgot I ever watched it. So, and you guys know I'm a Lisa fan. So I was hurt. I was hurt and disappointed by this. But now they've decided to bring in the big guns for season 2, and we're going to get STASSI popping up. I did see that she's been in Europe with Beau, so I'm assuming that she's been there filming. It obviously must have went good, and they're going to use whatever they filmed, and so now they have to announce before anything gets leaked and stuff. So, all right, STASSI's returning in Vanderpump Villa. Now, the next part that hurts, the next part that just hurts my soul, and again, I can only speak from my own personal, my own personal self. But they're giving STASSI another TV show, a 30-minute program on Hulu called STASSI Says. And she'll be discussing, it's basically a reality TV show following her and the people in her life. I know she's close with Taylor Strucker. I know she's close with Jackie Schimmel. I know she's close, she has Beau. She still sees some of these characters from Vanderpump still. It sounds like it's going to be following a lot of different characters, a lot of different people that she's around every day. And I will not be watching, so I won't be telling you. I watch everything. I typically even hate watch. So I'll be no problem to hate watch something and admit it. Like, hey, this isn't my cup of tea, but I'm going to watch it so I can cover it or whatever. No, I can't do it, you guys. I just have a real problem with STASSI. And I didn't talk about it that much on my bonus episode because I wasn't really getting in deep, and I was just doing more of a general synopsis. But unfortunately, I just cannot with her. She, to me, and I'll just tell you why real quick. And if you're a STASSI fan, that's fine. Fast forward. Or even if you're a STASSI fan, don't fast forward. So maybe you can hear some of these reasons and just maybe try to look at her in a different light. So we all know the number one thing that got her canceled was that she was in this picture with, was it Rachel O'Brien? And it was like a military style jacket, and she put Nazi chic as the caption. And everybody was like, okay, no, not Nazi chic. How about we don't talk about that? And she basically refused to apologize and pretty much told everybody that they were being too sensitive and that she just gaslit us, told us that we were all being crazy. So then we're like, okay, fine, whatever. I already was like, nah, I'm good. So then she goes on and all of this stuff gets released from Faith, which you guys remember, oh my, I was about to do when James Kennedy's like, you guys remember when Jax fucked Faith? Remember when he does the freestyle during his set at Sir and Brittany gets so mad at him? Oh my God. So yeah, do you guys remember when Jax fucked Faith? Yeah. So pretty much STASSI decided to take it upon her own, self journey to ruin Faith's reputation about town, telling everybody that she was a psycho weirdo, that she would steal from people, that she had pulled knives on people. She spread all these insane rumors, and Kristen was also involved in this. I believe Lala was also involved in this. All of these women have basically all spread these crazy rumors about Faith. And we know that Faith is a woman of color, and it's just unacceptable behavior. They've never really apologized for any of it. They've never really, poor Faith has now, I don't know if she's able to, I don't know what she's doing now, but I know that she's still talking about this and she's still trying to sue them for different things because it's been so devastating to her and her livelihood and her life story. So yeah, I think just between a culmination of a couple of these things that have happened, just in general, how she speaks to people and how she also loves to promote this basic lifestyle, which is pretty much hey girls, all just be dumb, dress alike, like the same things, and don't get too deep in life. Just be really surface. That's her brand. I don't think I stand for any of that. So I just don't see personally what everybody does see in her. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. So won't be watching. Good luck to STASSI. Brings us to our number one most talked about moment of the week, which is going to be the Real Housewives of New Jersey finale. It's been a week. I mean, today is Sunday. I'm recording this. Tonight, I'm going to be watching. I am seated for this finale watch where they will all be, they're calling it the Off the Rails special. So when the girls are sitting down to watch the finale episode together, this is a new Peacock thing. They did this with Traders. They've been having, they did this with Vanderpump Rules. This is now the third time we've seen this trope being played out where let's have the cast sit down and just watch this finale episode together and get their live reactions. I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like some different content. It's a little meta. It's a little breaking the fourth walls. We all, seem to enjoy. So I'm really into watching this. I never watched those 7-minute spoiler videos, but I could not resist this one because I'm dying to know what's going to happen to the Jersey cast. Like I said, Bravo's been trimming the fat. And after Louie said that statement about the daughters, then Andy went on his radio show and was like, that's quite possibly like the darkest thing I've ever heard on Housewives. And now that I have children, I'm really looking at Housewives differently. And another thing that happened in the finale that we didn't discuss yet that people are really upset about is when Louie is sitting with Teresa and says that he wishes harm and suffering on Marge and her family and her children. I think that was pretty much when everybody, producers, just everybody, probably crew, other cast members, everybody in the world, I think collectively jaw dropped and was just like, wow. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with. This is who we're dealing with. And between the letter coming out, the clear brainwashing, gaslighting, manipulation that Teresa is involved in this, I don't think she even understands anymore. She just nods and blinks and goes along with it. I don't think she's a shell, like Dolores said, a shell of the woman she used to be. And I just want to see this finale because, like I said, Bravo's been trimming the fat and they've been trimming the darkness. And I mean, I have zero confidence in my bones that Teresa will be off the network. I don't know yet, but I think we're closer than ever. I think we were really getting somewhere here. Of course, I warned everybody about this. There's already been circulating memes, leaks, and spoilers and stuff going around saying that Tree and Dolo will be the only returning Jersey Housewives. There's no truth to that. Those are all made by fan accounts that I'm pretty sure are actually Jen Aiden. So I think that when Bill goes in the pool house, Jen goes online. And she probably posts a lot of this stuff herself. So, but yeah, I'm really excited to watch this Off the Rails finale. Now, okay, I was saying last week on Ryan Bailey's podcast, I'm like, we need to reboot the show around Jackie. Like this woman is so insane. She brought us a lot. She should have been a full-time housewife this year. I think that would have been so good to like bring her back just for one season and then fire everybody. At least let her go out because she gave us a lot. It was very, very reminiscent. And a lot of people are talking about this comparison between the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with Heather Gay exposing Monica as being reality Von Teese. Jackie Von Teese is definitely out here doing her dirty work. I think Jackie is so smart and she was able to really be so smart about all the moves that she made and obviously was very intelligent enough to keep everything hidden. Nobody knew this. Even Marge said that she only found out 1 week ago, which I just want to talk a lot about Marge too for a second here. Like, Marge to me is a neutral character. She is somebody that I think was a necessary evil. Like Teresa needed an antagonist. She needed somebody to fight. Because Melissa wasn't engaging anymore. Danielle Staub's not in the show anymore. Caroline's out. Kim D. She's had all of these people that she sinks her teeth into every season. So she needed somebody. And Margaret was going to be that role for a while. And, I see a lot of people being upset about the fact that in that part of the finale when Dolores, Marge, and Jen Fessler are all at Marge's house and they're having the Magnolia Bakery bread pudding. Oh, one of my favorite things in the world. They're sitting there having the bread pudding on the cronuts, and Marge is like, Dolores, I swear I didn't talk to her. I didn't talk to the ex before the reunion. And a lot of people then, when they sit down at the dinner later or at the lunch, whatever, at the Last Supper, and Marge then says, I did talk to her before. And then Dolores is like, oh, she lied to me. She lied to her the same way that Heather Gay lied to the other women and didn't tell them what she knew about Monica. She omitted that so that she could have this moment and bring this to, light. She didn't want to tell Dolores in a one-on-one and probably give Dolores time to tell Teresa to be prepared to have a rebuttal, or like all of these other things that could have maybe happened from the time Dolores would leave the house at Margaret's and get to that Last Supper being filmed. So Marge had to lie. She had to tell everybody she didn't say anything or know anything until she sat down and exposed everything. So to me, that didn't bother me as much. I saw like why she played things that way, but I'm not in any way like a Marge stan and think that she did everything right. I think that she's definitely lying about how much she knows, when she knew things. I think the timeline's like all fucked up. But I just think that specific thing that everybody's like, when Dolores got so mad and was screaming about her and also like fighting about being invited to that reunion review, that also totally happened. Like, I think Dolores was just so upset that in any way things were going to get back to Teresa. Like, she's also living in this fear. I allegedly, one of my theories is that, we also know Paulie is involved in some illegal activity. I think that he's maybe either done things with Louie or Louie knows things. And so they don't want this coming out. We don't want Dolores to be, because we know Dolores is already on thin ice with Teresa. So if she goes full traitor, full flop and goes to the other side, they're coming for her, especially if they're still on the season together. That could be the exact thing that gets Jersey to come back with the full cast next season, would be something like that. Because even though Andy's been saying, oh yeah, we're going to reboot, fresh faces, whatever, nothing's been decided and they're going to take a long pause. I actually think there is a possibility everybody will come back. I do. I think that they would just troll us. So yeah, the Jersey finale is still fresh on my mind. I'm so excited for this finale tonight. And I think going forward, just releasing on Mondays is going to be the best for me because I don't get screeners and I like to talk about all the things that I watch over the weekend, even just as much as Thursday night OC. So I would definitely like to be someday getting screeners. I have to say it and manifest out into the universe now. Screeners, hit me up. But yeah, no, I watched so much stuff over the weekend too. So I think Mondays now going forward, especially because I'm going to it will basically be season 3 already of the show that I'm going to be launching in September. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Any other things just to leave you with? I'm going to be at the Bravo Fan Fest in Miami, November 21st to 23rd. I bought my ticket. I am not doing VIP. I've learned from the last 3 Bravo cons, I personally don't think VIP is worth it because I don't like to stand in line and take pictures with the Bravo celebrities. And that's like the only thing I think you get a perk from. So, yeah, I'm not going to be doing VIP, but I will be there. GA, hit me up. And there's also going to be 5 tapings of Watch What Happens Live. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to be going to yet. Another thing that I would love to be covering, hit me up for tickets. What else am I going to be doing there? Oh yeah. And I went to that Diamonds and Rose pop-up that was, they did the LA one and the New York one. And I ended up going and sitting at the bar and hitting, having a conversation with one of the bartenders there. And I started talking to her and I'm like, oh, what nights do you work here? Like, how's it been going here? It's opening weekend. I was talking to her, like, what Bravo celebrities were here the other night that you thought were the coolest. Like, we were just having I was the only one sitting at the bar and we just had a lot of time to chat. So it wasn't that busy. Which, I think some of these things, I just have to say, I think some of these things that Bravo puts on, this Diamonds and Rose thing could have totally been skipped. It's like a total money grab to me. You pay $35, you get an included brunch, but there's no performance or show or anything. I thought it was going to be a drag brunch or something, but there was nothing. You just sat there and drank Bravo cocktails, which is fine. I love. There were a couple little photo booths and stuff. There was a merch stand. It just wasn't, there was a permanent jewelry, which I got, which is so cute. It was a fun little event, but it was no BravoCon, put it that way. There were no Bravo celebrities there. But yeah, speaking of Bravo celebrities, I'm talking to this bartender, and I'm not going to give her name, but she was really cool, and she was like, yeah, I started working here because I'm friends with Brad. And I was like, well, the only Brad I can kind of think of would be Brad, who is Ariana's best friend. And I was like, oh. And I was like, wait, Brad, like Ariana Brad? And she was like, yeah, I'm friends with Brad. And I was like, okay, tell me more. Like, this is so crazy. I'm like 2 degrees of separation from Ariana right now. Like, I was really trying to be like, do you hang out with Ariana here? Like, are you friends with her and Dan? Like, I wanted to know all the dirt, but I was trying not to be too thirsty. And she's telling me some things, and then she's going on. She's like, yeah, I actually moved here from LA too. Like, I'm from LA also. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And then she's like, yeah, she's like, I actually got to know all of these people because I lived in a room with roommates, like in an apartment. And the person that moved into my room after I moved out was James Kennedy. I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah. She's like, I didn't even really know him, but he needed like a room at the time, and I was moving out, and he moved into where I was staying. I'm like, so did he sage? Like, is your energy like he lived in your room? Like, that's so crazy. That's like when Lala moved into Stassi's old apartment. Like, it's just the weirdest, smallest world. And these stories she was telling me, I was like, what? Like, this is so random, but so cool. So you just never know who you're going to meet when you go to these events and who you're going to run into. So much random fun stuff. But yeah, I've been loving all this Bravo related stuff. I'm going to be, looking forward to this Miami Fan Fest so much. And I'm not really sure like what is going to happen there. It's not a Bravo con. It's just a 1-day thing on the Saturday that week, I believe, or potentially Friday or something. It's just a 1-day event with, I think they said over 25 Bravo Labs. So it's not like Bravo Con again. That's like over like 300 Bravo Labs. So, we'll see what's going to be up with this. I'll keep you posted as I start to learn more information. So what does Danny Pellegrino say? Go to Bravo TV for more information. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that was a great episode, you guys. I had so much fun with you. Please make sure you leave me a review and rate me 5 stars. If you're on my YouTube watching, please also make sure to leave a comment and just say something positive. Like, when Andy on Watch What Happened Live is like, say 5 positive things or say 3 nice things about so-and-so. Like, please just try to say 3 nice things about me so that people also think I'm cool and want to listen. So that hopefully I can start to get some screeners. No, I'm kidding. I just love what I do and want to keep doing this. So I think that's it for this week, you guys. Ciao, Bellas.